Hi guys, welcome back to a new video. I'm back today to talk about my summer in the Sitc Experience. I'm sorry I didn't vlog it. I was feeling extremely anxious on that day and I thought it'd be easier if I take each step at a time, and obviously vlogging makes it more stressful, so yeah. I got up at around 8 o'clock and it was my birthday, if none of you knew, and I went to get my little sister up and she helped me get ready. Even though she's only 2, she found it quite fun, and I wanted to spend the first hour of the day with her, seeing as I was going to be out for the rest of the day without her. And she gave me my present, and then I got dressed, got my mum up at about 8:30, and then my sister gave me her present, and it was a Sug Life phone case, and then we got in the car about 9 o'clock. I didn't eat anything before we left because I was feeling really anxious and sick and just didn't feel very well, but about halfway there we stopped off at McDonald's for McDonald's breakfast and I ate that, and then we got to the O2 at about, I want to say not 9, about 10. I think it was about 10, and then we parked in the O2 and we went on the this is the Emirates airline, I think it's called. It's the ski lift which goes across the river. I went on that. I'm absolutely petrified on it, but thankfully we didn't have any other people in our, what's it called? Our own ski lift. We basically had just me, my mum and my sister, which was good, and we enjoyed that. And then over to the XL Centre, and we went into this big hall where you get your wristbands, you get your goodie bag, you get your t-shirts if you pre-ordered a t-shirt, and you get your bands for each meet and greets. I think we arrived at the perfect time because the queue to actually get the wristband and goodie bag was quite small. We went straight in, but the queue to get the meet and greet bands was quite long, but it only took about 10 minutes to go down. And then I went and picked up my t-shirt, and this is the t-shirt I got. It looks huge. It's supposed to be a small, but it's more like a dress on me, and it's actually quite wide, but it's really nice. I like how it's a ice lolly, like a melted ice lolly with Summer in the City written into it. I got the grey one because, I don't know if you could tell, I like wearing grey. Anyway, after that, just as we were walking out of that big room, hall, whatever you want to call it, they opened the barriers to go in and everyone was screaming and trying to run in, and the security guards were going mental and screaming at everybody. But I basically had to walk all the way back to the back of that queue and just walk in really slowly, which is quite nice. When we got in I started feeling really anxious, but it was alright because I was desperate to try to enjoy that day. So it was a bit stressful because at the beginning of the day everyone who's going to Summer in the City is all in one room because none of the panels have started yet, none of the meet and greets have started yet, nothing's really open. So everyone was in that room and we were walking around not being able to see anything or move properly. But then we decided to join the queue which went into the meet and greet room. That opened at 12 and we went in and they checked our bags, checked our wristbands, and then we went and queued up, and my first meet and greet was with Jasmine Clough, Sophie Clough and Looking for Lewis, and we only queued for about 5 minutes before we saw them, and they were the nicest people I've ever met. Literally all the YouTubers I met on the Saturday were so nice. When it was our turn we walked up, my mum and one of the Summer in the City volunteers was taking a photo, and may I just say all of my photos with Sophie, Jasmine and Lewis were really good, but my meet and greet later in the day, my volunteer was shaking really bad, so my photos are really blurry, which is really disappointing. But anyway, we're talking about my first meet and greet. I walked up, I first hugged Sophie, and I don't know, my first impressions were they just so lovely. They just smiled at you, they asked how you were, because it's my birthday they asked if I'd got any presents, how my birthday was going, if I was looking forward to the rest of the day, just that normal kind of chit chat. And then they asked who was the oldest because me and my sister actually look really similar, and I'm trying to remember the conversation, sorry. Sophie was probably the one who looked at us the longest trying to figure it out. They thought my sister was older, which everyone normally always does. But then we said I was older, and they were like, actually, yeah, I can kind of see that. So they thought we were twins at first, but then hugged Jasmine and Lewis, and then we got a photo, and then we went. It was just done just like that. I liked the meet and greets this year because I actually had proper long conversations with the people I got them with, and it was really nice rather than just getting a photo and going. I then went out of the meet and greet hall and we just wandered around for a bit. My mum got a drink. My sister got one of the glitter things down the side of your eye. They got a McFlurry. I'm trying to think what else we did. We just walked around for a bit really. I then saw Matt, who, if none of you know who Matt is, he does have his own YouTube channel, but Sprinkle of Glitter, Louise Pentland, her ex-husband, and I got a photo of him. He was so nice. He actually looked really shocked that I'd asked him to have a photo. I think it made his day, to be honest, but yeah, it was so nice. By this point it was about 1 o'clock, so we were going to go get some lunch, but then I saw that Keisha tweeted saying she was by one of the main rides, so we turned back around and went to one of the rides, and she actually had quite a big crowd around her, and people kept going before me, even though I'd stood there longer, but that was fine because I'm not the sort of person to push in front of people. When I finally got round to seeing her, she looked at me as if like, I kind of recognise you, and I said I did the Keisha Nater tag on YouTube, and she was like, and she instantly recognised who I was. I've actually got a photo of her recognising who I was, which was so nice. We then got a photo, and yeah, she is so sweet off camera and obviously on camera, but yeah. And she's actually a lot smaller than I thought she was.
I'm sorry to keep looking up here. All of my Summer City photos up here, so I'm just trying to remember conversations and how it went just by looking at the photos.
We then went to get lunch and we sat in Costa for a bit. We heard a massive bang and people scream, and it was probably the loudest kind of echoing bang I'd ever heard, and not trying to like over exaggerate, it literally sounded like a bomb, and my heart started beating so fast, and everyone in Costa stood up and looked around. After a few minutes, no one had run or no one had continued screaming, so we assumed it was all fine. I tweeted Liv Rook and I asked her if she'd heard it. She said yes, but I think it's fine, no one's really reacted. So that kind of calmed me down. My mum then stayed in Costa whilst me and my sister went into the actual XL rooms. I tweeted Liv asking her where she was, and she said she was by the main stage but would only be there for a few minutes before she went off to see Eve Bennett's panel. So I walked into the main stage and I looked around, but it's so dark in there I couldn't see her, and then out of nowhere she literally started walking towards me. Not like she'd seen me and was walking towards me, she was walking towards the exit to go into the other room. But I don't know why I did this, it's actually really cringy thinking back. I literally just shouted, "Liv!" and launched myself at her, hugging her before she even had a chance to see who I was and what I was doing. And I remember whilst hugging her, Molly said, "Oh, that's so cute," and that just made me so happy. I obviously pulled away after a few seconds and she realised who I was because I was wearing my birthday badge, which she knew I'd bought to wear to the event. And yeah, I got a photo with Liv and Molly, and then we chatted for a bit, and then they had to go off to Eve's panel and I had to go off to my meet and greet.
I'm sorry if my camera keeps moving and the lighting is really weird. It's because I'm using natural light and it's starting to get dark because it's about 8:30 at night, but yeah.
Also forgot to put in, when we were walking to Costa we came across the lean machines and we got a photo of them. They were so nice, and seconds after we got a photo of them this woman came up to us and we were like, hello. She handed us this card which said "You've been spotted," and it had, and inside it said "You've been chosen from the crowd," and loads of details. And she was like, "Hi, I'm a modelling company. I spotted your daughters taking a photo with their men, and we think you'd be right for this job." And we were like, there? And my mum said she had noticed that woman standing outside the exit and entrance. It was like you can exit and entrance that same door. Just watching everyone walk out to see who they think would be right. And we gave her our details, and then she actually emailed us a couple of days ago and we emailed back, and I don't know if we're actually going to do anything or if it's going to progress, but that was a really, really weird experience. We then went to our meet and greet, and it was with Lucy and Lydia, and the queue was massive. I think it took us about an hour to get to the front, which isn't too bad actually. When we got to the front, Lydia just looked at me with this massive grin on her face and just hugged me. It was literally, I walked up to them and she was like this, just give me a hug. And I've actually got photos of them all giving us hugs, and they are just so happy, and they're the smiliest people I've ever met. Smile. They're always laughing, smiling, and they're just so nice. And then they swapped over and Lydia gave me a hug, and they give the best hugs. And then we had a conversation for no joke about 5 minutes. The first question was, are you twins? Because me and my sister, like I said, look very similar. And we were like, no, and then they were deciding who looked older and they couldn't decide. And then they said, actually, you both look about 18. And I was like, I've always been told my whole life I look about 11 or 12. So that's actually quite nice to hear from them, even if they were just saying it to be nice. What else would we talk about? They said happy birthday. I hate forgetting conversations. I wish I could just remember them all. That was mainly the topics of the conversations. They asked if we were having a good day, what we were going to do for the rest of the day, that kind of thing. Next we went to the Instagram photo thing. It's basically where you sit on a swing, there's a big Instagram sign behind you, and you can either get a boomerang done or a picture done. We were waiting in the queue and we saw Mark Ferretz walking. He had a massive group of people like waddling with him, trying to get a photo of him. So me and my sister just ditched my mum in the queue, went straight to the front, and because we walked like round to the front of the people straight up to him, we managed to get a photo, and I actually feature in his vlog. So that was really nice managing to speak to him again, because I don't know if you guys know, but I met him when he came to my hometown once around Christmas time. So it was nice seeing him again. And then we went back in the queue, and Mark actually went on the swing just before us. So I on my phone I actually have filmed him on the Instagram swing. And then it was mine and my sister's turn. We sat on the swing, we got a boomerang done, and yeah, it was really nice. And then my sister and my mum went to get a McFlurry. I can't eat milk, so I couldn't get one. Instead, I stood and watched the Family Fizzes panel, which was actually really interesting. And Sienna is so cute. Really cute. She was sitting there with her pink pom-pom headband and her teddy. It was so cute. And then when the Family Fizzes panel had finished, we went over to Evan's merch stall because my sister wanted to buy some merch. When we started queuing up, we realised Evan was actually at the front taking pictures of everyone, so that was nice. Me and my sister managed to get a photo with him. It's up there on my wall, like all of my other photos. And he was so nice. I think I witnessed him dabbing about 500 times, but apart from that, it was good. When I was in the queue, I tweeted Liv and I asked her where she was and if I could speak to her again after meeting her earlier, because it was quite rushed, and she said she was by the Summer in the City sign. So after we went to Evan's merch table, we went over there and I saw Liv. Molly was there, but I didn't speak to her again. Alice Thorpe, Lizzie Barnett, I think that was it. Online New was there, but I didn't actually get a photo of her because I kind of rushed off without thinking and I regret it. But firstly, I spoke to Lizzie Barnett and got a photo of her, and she was so nice. And then I went and got a photo with Alice Thorpe, and it was really nice finally meeting her because she's actually watched one of my YouTube videos on here before and commented on them. Commented on one, sorry. And I've been on the Alice's Army group chat for quite a while, and yeah, it was really nice finally meeting her and getting to chat to her. I was actually in her vlog as well meeting her, and she's so nice, and I love her accent. And whilst my sister went to get a Summer in the City top, I went back over and saw Liv and had a really nice chat with her. I basically said thank you for everything you've done. We actually ended up talking about Ask Italian because I was meant to go after Summer in the City. And yeah, it was really nice to finally have a chat with her in person because I've talked to her quite a lot on Twitter before, and I'm part of the Liv Strometz group chat. And then I queued up in Dodie's merch. I then got this top. And this top is still quite big, but it's not as big as the official Summer in the City one. And I just love it because it goes with pretty much everything. We then went to Dodie's panel, and it was about the relationship between viewers and creators, and it was actually a really interesting panel. Yeah, I learned a lot about stuff on there, and Dodie talked about oversharing about her mental health problems and that kind of stuff. It was just really interesting. We then left the panel when it finished at about 6, 6:05, and we just decided to walk around. There wasn't much going on. All of the panels finished at 6. Quite a lot of merch had sold out. Quite a lot of the YouTubers who I was hoping to meet whilst wandering around had left, like Eve Bennett, Fabulous Hannah, Bambina Becky, and then there was nothing really interesting me on the main stage, and yeah, so we just decided to do a lap around the whole thing to check there's nothing else going on. And then we noticed that Dodie's queue for her merch stall was massive. It was so long. So my mum was like, I think Dodie's at the front because otherwise it wouldn't be that long. So we walked around the front and there was Dodie. My heart like stopped. We joined the queue and loads of volunteers kept going up and down saying, you're not going to meet her, you're not allowed to get a photo with her. The only people allowed to get a photo with her are ones with a particular coloured band, and you're not allowed to meet her, you're only allowed to buy merch if you're in this queue. And me and my mum were like, Dodie's not going to say no to a photo with one of her viewers. She's literally the kindest person I've ever met. She would never say no to someone if they asked for a photo with her, unless obviously she was like severely ill or something. But so we decided to queue up anyway, because even if I wasn't allowed a photo with her, I was going to get a poster for one of my friends. So yeah. And then we got to about 2 people away from her and we could clearly see everyone was getting a photo of her, so I started panicking. I was like, I haven't planned what I'm going to say. And normally if I eat one of my idols, not that that happens that often, I think the only one I've met is, like the biggest idol I've ever met is Zoe Sugg, and I had weeks to plan what I was going to say to her, and even then I didn't say everything I wanted to say. So meeting Dodie was such a shock because I wasn't certain that I would meet her up until 2 seconds before I hugged her. So I hadn't planned anything, and I massively regret not saying more, but I'm still so grateful I managed to meet her. She looked so tired, and some of the city volunteers kept going up to her and saying, you should probably stop now, you're tired, you probably shouldn't meet everyone, you sure you don't want to stop now? And they were trying to convince her to stop meeting people, and she was just like, no, I'm meeting everyone here. She literally didn't look like she was in the right frame of mind, and I look up to her because I admire her for what she did. She looked like she was about to drop on the floor and just sleep. She looked so exhausted, but she still trooped on to try and meet everyone in that queue because she knew that they wanted to meet her. When it got to my turn, my mind went blank. I didn't know what to say. I hugged her and I literally just said, you've helped me so much. And she looked at me as in like a I'm so sorry, like I love you kind of face, and like a sympathetic kind of face. And then she kind of waited for me to say more, but my mind just went blank and it turned into an awkward silence because I just wasn't saying anything. And that's where I wish I'd said more, because she actually waited and wanted to hear my story, but I didn't say it. So I'm so annoyed by that, but at least I got to meet her. And she was then like, do you want to get a photo then? So we got a photo, and then as we were walking off, I was going to the front of her merch stand to buy a poster for one of my best friends. And my mum stopped her and she was like, do you mind if you sign a poster if we buy one now? She was like, yeah, of course. So we bought one and she signed it, and that was it. We left her. That was basically my Summer in the City day. I then went off to have dinner in the O2, which it turns out that's where the after party was, but I didn't actually see anyone walking there. We went on the airline back over, and there was a not trying to be rude, there was a larger man sitting on the other side and he had literally tilted it up, and because I am afraid of heights that did not help, and when we got to the very top it actually stopped because someone had to get a wheelchair on, I think, and I was freaking out, but it was fine. I got off it and I'm here. But that was my day. I was absolutely exhausted. I so wish I could have gone back on the Sunday because Dodie was performing. She was in more panels. I could have met more of the YouTubers I watch, and yeah, it was a really good day. It was possibly the best birthday I've ever had. Thank you for watching. I am so sorry I rambled. I hate my voice, so I understand if you do too. I'm sorry if I didn't explain everything right or the day seemed jumbled up. I'm sorry I look a mess. And yeah, I will see you guys soon. Thank you for watching, and subscribe and give this video a like. Bye!